Thank you for inviting me. I'll be talking about economy and corporates and the effect of narratives. You know, in 60s, Prime Minister Golda Meir of Israel had visited Ronald Reagan, and she told him, Mr. President, if you give me two generals, I have two best generals. With these four generals, I'll rule over the world. Mr. Reagan asked her which two generals you are talking about. She said, I have the two best soldier generals. You give me General Electric and General Motor. And that was a starting point. That was midway somewhere that we knew that business is no more going to be business. It is going to be war. And that is what has stepped in India, which is reducing the life cycles. A lot of NPA, which is being politicized by the banks. I'm in board of one of the banks. It is because the companies could not survive. Few could be for different reasons. Now, when there's a war, with the artificial intelligence and a lot of other things which I've stepped in, the war has become very, very serious. Maggie case, we know. Before the government banned it, it was for 7 days hugely publicized, and it is said, because the film is being made, that there's a video filming going on, that one of the competition was introducing their noodles, and that is why it is going to be banned. For 4 months, it was banned. It took them another 9 months to regain their revenue share in India. Another interesting case, when Apple sued Samsung for copying the phone features, I was with LG. I was heading LG India, and in the world, I was among the top 20. We used to visit Korea very often. And to save the face, because obviously the court takes 1 year or 2 years' time, what was the narrative which was spread out in the whole of Korea by Samsung? It was, if a technology has been developed, every human being has a right to use it. So what if Samsung is taking it from Apple? But the patent, the royalty aspect was not being there. So this is absolutely a very serious war game. I'll tell you another interesting thing. When there was a Kargil war, we in LG in India had donated 10 crore rupees to the Prime Minister's fund. 5 days later, there was a big article in US. What is the issue was loyalty of local multinationals. That is, have we donated in India? Then has LG donated in Pakistan also? And it became a very, very controversial issue. So which company are we loyal to? And there was a Wall Street journalist, he rang us up. And we had to really tell them, we don't know what Pakistan, and Pakistan was maybe 5% of the total revenue share of what we were doing in India. We don't know, and actually we did not know. It was a local decision, and that is what, but these type of things I had seen with journalists because I was a spokesperson of consumer durable industry in India. If your view is subscribing, they have an original idea on which they have to write a story. And if your view is subscribing to that, your views are taken. Otherwise, they ignore your views. They just don't quote you. Another important, interesting way they do it is they'll write the whole article on what they think, and in the end, they might say, LG feels like this, 2 lines, or with a question mark. They'll say, your views have been covered. We have contested it number of times with very, very leading newspapers. I will not name them. They said, your views have been communicated, last 2 lines, and the whole half-page article has been on the other side of the whole thing. Another thing, Mr. Suresh is there. We have made number of advertising films, and let me tell you, marketing, whatever he might say, marketing is telling half the truth and hiding half of the lies. No product, no services is perfect. LED, which is being sold so much, which is being highly publicized, let me tell you, if in a year you use it for more than 12 hours, in 5 years' time, you will have cancer. I'm specialized in that technology. But because of the human evolution situation, where we are there, maybe power generation, etc., take a prior seat. We have to be very, very careful because festival season is a very high sales season for any product. And that time, many times you use the imagery of the gods and goddesses. Lot of marketing peoples, well-known marketing people have lost their jobs because something was wrong here or there in the imagery. which touch the sensitivities of the people of that community. We always used to check any imagery being used for any festival season, because the highest sale season is that time, by the most traditional people of that community. Tell me if there's anything wrong. Because you might you want to become a creative person and might miss it. Another very interesting thing happened with the Starbucks. And this was 6 months back. Its sales is going down. And there was one gentleman, there's a huge hatred for the immigrants all over who have entered the US and Europe part of it. And one gentleman put on a WhatsApp that 3 days later, if you go to these 3 stores in this city, 1 cup of coffee of Starbucks will be made free, will be served you free, which was a fake thing. And he was presuming that when these, and he has to be immigrant without any, and no documents have to be shown. When these people will go, the US immigrant force will arrest them. But just before that, the Starbucks went very active and stopped it, because it was giving them a very, very bad name that you are going to support the immigrants. Their sale was already down. The public sympathy was going away. There is, in YouTubes, the popularity of the YouTubes, the payment of YouTubes are made by seeing how many hits are there. A lot of things are by the hits. And let me tell you that artificial intelligence, they are robos. There's a particular time frame when robos give you artificial false fake hits on those YouTubes and the payments are made. It was 12 o'clock in the night till 4 o'clock. This was 2 years back. Then they changed the whole system. Then these people have come out with something new. So what is actually popular is very difficult to know. Donald Trump. It is believed that fake news, a lot of narratives which were there, helped him win the elections. Let me tell you, there were a lot of studies done. In India, none has been done. It has found that even though the narratives, the spread was very high, the effect of converting a vote was very, very low. And I can correlate it to the marketing. There have been studies. Ordinary Indian citizen, how many brands do you encounter in one day? Maybe 500, maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000. How many are registered in your mind? Maybe 1. It is same thing about all the things, social media information which is going on. Please understand, the brain has very limited capacity of getting things registered. And that is the whole skill of marketing. How will your ad get registered in the mind of the people and convert it to things? And the same thing is also applicable here. There was a very interesting case of Bata in Malaysia. In 3 days' time, Bata lost $2 billion. What happened? This was again done by the competition. They came out with a new model of shoes. And the competition said the tweets which are there, this is resembling the sign of Allah. And it became so much viral in 3 days' time, they had to take away all the new models from all the shops within 1 day of Malaysia, creating huge, huge loss, and there was no truth in it. We used to do this, lot of things like this. So we are not telling. And a lot of our competitors also used to do it. It is a war. And this is what it is. The person who is suited better. But 2 challenges which have come up for our society. And this is what I want to say. Because of all this, the role models are no more there for the younger generation. Earlier, the politicians used to be the role model. JFK, Eisenhower, Abraham Lincoln, maybe Indira Gandhi. But because of lot of information and too much of information, politicians ceased to be role models for the younger generation. Then became businessmen, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. And in early 90s, Bill Gates had made a statement, because we have been made so big heroes, we will be made villain by the journalists. And that happened. Even the business personalities are also no role models. And that is a big vacuum for the younger generation. How to get. And number 2 is because of the technology disruption and digitization and all this thing which is happening, what is legal, what is illegal, what is ethical, what is unethical, the lines are getting blurred. Just one point is that The lot of things which are happening, it is taking 8 years. The laws which have been made are no more valid. You say Google, you say Uber, they are violating all laws, and it takes 10 years to decide what is legal and illegal. And that is what are the challenges of the future. Thank you very much.